Good morning. This screencast is to help you become successful in creating your historic speech project presentations. So this first part of the screencast will give you some tips and tricks on how to create a successful Screencast-o-matic video. And then the second part will give you some insight and information on how to actually create your historic speech presentation that you will use with Screencast-o-matic to upload to YouTube and to get presentation credit for the project. So before you use Screencast-o-matic and become successful with this project, there are a couple of things you need to do to make sure that you're going to be successful. So the first thing is you have to have a computer that has a microphone, such as the one I'm using right now. And you also need to create a YouTube channel. And we recommend that you connect this YouTube channel with your student account, your MEID. You don't necessarily have to, but I always recommend that anything school-related should be student account-related and not personal-related. And then the last thing that you want to do is practice and divide the presentation before you begin recording. Since all team members must speak in the presentation, it's important that you practice that beforehand. For example, this presentation that I'm doing right now is at least my second recording. My original recording, I had too many ums, too many ahs, too many interruptions because I was recording it while sitting in my office at work, and I had to trash it and start again. When you are ready to start recording, you need to do a few things. You need to open Screencast-o-matic.com. You need to open your presentation. You need to check your levels in Screencast-o-matic before you can begin recording. Just off this screen, you can't see it, but there's a small bar in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen that is giving me a running time of the recording, and it also gives me a pause and play button. So as I'm recording, I'm able to make sure that my recording is not going too long, but I'm also able to pause, so when I have to switch between elements, I'm able to do so without interrupting the presentation. So again, some recording tips before you begin is that you should practice before recording. And then for each speaker, once you begin recording, when you're done with your part, you should hit the pause button to switch speakers. You should view or preview your recording before uploading it to YouTube. And again, re-record if you make too many mistakes. Okay, so now I'm moving to the second part of this screencast that gives you the tips and the details on how to create the actual presentation that you will create into a screencast and upload to YouTube. So here you can imagine this is the introduction page that can appear as you introduce your team who worked on your speech. So in this case, of course, it's a made-up team of Don Juan, Juan Don, and Maggie Beautiful, but you can certainly give your team a name and have a little personality and fun with this introductory slide or opening slide for your presentation. Your introduction before you begin the project should allow the viewer to understand what you're doing and why. So you should have the speech title, any dates attached to the speech that you were required to read and work with. If you know the place where the speech was delivered, please give context, background, why this speech was delivered. Was the speaker invited? Was the speaker doing it out of their own personal interest? Any other relevant information? And then on these slides, you should also include an image or two of the speaker. If you can find an image of the speaker actually delivering the speech, that would be wonderful. But we want to get a visual and a full context of the speech with which you have worked. This should be 1 to 2 slides long, depending on how much information you contain in your presentation. And then on the next couple of slides, we need the details of the speech. So you should have a list of, or a bulleted list or a numbered list of details of the speech. What was it about? How did it go from beginning to end? So the beginning, the middle, the end of the speech, the key points that you did for homework should be on a slide. And make sure you include those key issues, especially the ones that are going to connect to the issues for present day and the ones that the deadline character are going to be reacting to or speaking to. So what are those key issues that you want us to focus on? And make sure you have at least 2 quotes to support the issues listed. And also remember that you're using APA style, American Psychological Association style, for your in-text citations and your references slide. So these should also be on your slides as you quote material from your library resources that you're using, including the speech. So then you move to issue identification. This is where you're connecting the issues from the speech and when they were delivered to the issues today. So we want an explanation of the issue in present day, where it stands, how it's still an issue. So this is more for speeches that were delivered maybe 50 years ago, maybe 100 years ago, 25 years ago. You know, you want to contextualize for us how it's still an issue today. For those of you who have speeches that have been delivered in the past couple of years, you know, that's not going to be as big a highlight, but you still want to identify that issue. And then, of course, at least 2 quotes from the sources cited correctly to support your conclusions. And you want to embed any of those quotations into that presentation to discuss how it reflects that it's an issue today. And then you move on to your now versus then slides. So this is where you might have a list on one slide of what's the same, what's different, or you might just have a bulleted list, including quotes, but you're capturing for us how there are differences between the issues in the speech different from the issues that you found in your research. So what's the same, what's different, and then, of course, 1 to 2 quotes from sources to support. And this is where we'd like to see new quotes. I don't want to see recycling. So, you know, if you have a list of an issue on the left with a quote and a list of how it's different on the right with a quote, they should be new quotes on either side of that issue. Then we're moving to the deadline character connection. So this is where you're just going to simply state the character that you chose, how they would react to the issue, and then you're going to find those quotes from deadline, either a description of that character or something that the character states in the novel that really captures their personality and their viewpoints on the particular issue that you're working with. And again, don't forget to cite using APA format. And then you're done. Your last slide is your references slide. Again, in APA style, what is formally known to you in MLA as works cited. In APA, we call this a references page. So that's why it says references up here. You will not use the term works cited. And you're going to use APA style again and include all the sources that you found, even images. And on this last slide, you want to say goodbye or thank you or some other conclusion or wrap up, maybe even announce another inspirational quote that you found from the speech that you want to leave the viewer thinking about. But somehow you need to let the audience know you're done. So I'm done now. Thank you. I hope this video and screencast helps you create the most successful historic speech project that you can possibly create. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, email your instructor.